Thank you for joining me as we open our spring semester. It's good to be back with all of you. To our new students and colleagues, it's my pleasure to welcome you to Georgetown. To the returning members of our community, I look forward to another semester together. This is my first weekly presentation of the new year. Throughout the pandemic, I've offered these presentations on a weekly basis. Each week, I'm able to share with all of you a sense of the key issues we are tracking and provide some context on the steps we are taking to respond. These past few weeks have been challenging for all of us. We are in the fifth surge of the pandemic, with cases rising exponentially across our country. This surge is taking place precisely at the moment of our return for the new semester. I'd like to focus today on how we are approaching this month and the key factors we're monitoring. On December 29th, after the most careful consideration, we announced virtual learning through January 30th. We are planning to return to in-person learning on Monday, January 31st, based on the factors I'll describe in just a moment. Undergraduate residential students are being given an extended move-in period and are able to return to their on-campus residences between January 11th and January 30th. Events have been moved outside or to virtual formats. Dining is grab and go, and staff who can telework are being encouraged to do so during the month of January. In my letter to the community this past week, I highlighted 5 key issues that have driven our decision-making in this current moment. I'd like to review them in detail here. We have carefully considered each of these factors and their combined impact when forming our plans for the opening weeks of this semester. Let me start with the rate of transmission of the Omicron variant. The rate of transmission captures the speed at which the virus is spreading. So far, we have seen that the Omicron variant transmits much more easily than prior variants. When studying transmissibility, scientists work to determine the R value, the number of people that one COVID-positive person typically infects. In the UK, scientists have reported that the R value for one case of Omicron is 3 to 5 new infections. This high rate of transmission results in an exponential rise in the number of cases. And this is precisely what we are seeing here in the United States. Record numbers of new cases each day, significantly more than at any previous time during the pandemic. Nationwide, the number of new cases of COVID-19 has increased more than 200% over the past 2 weeks. And the state of the pandemic in our region is another important consideration in our plans, and in recent days and weeks, Washington, D.C. has been considered a hot spot with high numbers of cases and of hospitalizations. I'll talk in a minute about the significance of what we're seeing when it comes to hospitalization. So we know with Omicron, transmission is high. But what about vaccine protection? This is another factor we focused on. Vaccine efficacy captures the strength of the effectiveness of the vaccine against the virus. How has vaccine protection held up against Omicron? People who are fully vaccinated and boosted against COVID-19 have the highest level of protection. A booster increases vaccine effectiveness to 70 to 80% against Omicron. The level of protection for those who are vaccinated but not boosted is notably lower. With the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, for example, 2 shots but no booster are only 30 to 40% effective against Omicron. The greatest threat of severe disease is in those who are unvaccinated. we have required our community to receive a booster vaccine by January 21st or as soon as they are eligible to receive one. Vaccines are intended to be most effective at preventing severe illness. Against the Omicron variant, we are seeing overall less immunity from infection and more examples of breakthrough infections in those vaccinated or boosted. However, protection continues to be strongest for those who are vaccinated and boosted, even if they experience a breakthrough case. When you factor in additional public health measures, such as mask wearing, you can increase protection significantly. A related issue to vaccine efficacy is virulence. And virulence captures the ability of the virus to cause severe disease to an individual. Evidence is growing that the virulence of the Omicron variant is more mild when compared with other strains of COVID-19. While previous strains caused significant damage to the lungs, it appears that the Omicron variant is more focused on the upper airways, the nose and throat. This is an encouraging development. It means that those infected with Omicron may more likely experience flu and cold-like symptoms when compared with past COVID-19 infections. But we are still seeing a wide range of symptoms reported and many examples of severe disease. This seriousness of the illness can be captured in the key metrics regarding hospitalizations. We are experiencing more hospitalizations today in Washington, D.C. than at any previous point during the pandemic. And we're beginning to see rising numbers of hospitalization nationally. This is placing a significant strain on our healthcare system, which impacts not only those who are positive with COVID-19, but those people seeking care and treatment for many other acute or chronic conditions. How long will this surge last? Our decision to move to virtual learning to begin the spring semester was made with the most careful consideration. We reviewed closely the details I described above, as well as the projections for the duration of the Omicron wave. As we have shared, based on the experiences in South Africa and the United Kingdom, which experienced early waves of Omicron, projections for the United States indicate we will likely see a peak in transmission in mid-January and a decline in cases over the remainder of the month. We plan to return to in-person learning at the end of January, when many of the models indicate Omicron cases will be subsiding. We have also made additional adjustments to our layered public health program in response to this current phase of the pandemic. This week, as I mentioned, undergraduate residential students can begin moving back onto campus, and we've extended our move-in period through January 30th to allow students flexibility in when they wish to return. Residential students have an extensive pre-arrival and arrival testing process to identify any current cases of COVID-19 before students arrive or before they complete their move-in process. We are engaging the use of both PCR tests and rapid antigen tests as part of our arrival testing process, and we will be monitoring cases closely. Throughout the pandemic, we have required masks to be worn in indoor spaces. Recently, we have strengthened our recommendation for the use of high-grade, well-fitted masks, masks known as N95, KN95, and KF94. And we will be providing N95 masks on our campuses. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, we have announced that as part of our COVID-19 vaccine mandate program, booster shots will be required for everyone on our campuses, and we will be providing booster clinics throughout the coming days and weeks. I hope this has given you a sense of the key issues we have been monitoring these past few weeks and what we might expect over the coming month. And I invite you to join me again next week for more updates on our efforts. And thank you again for joining me. And I wish you the very best as we begin a new semester together. Take care of yourself and take care of everyone around you. For every Hoya, everywhere.